Hi guys. So I want to come on initially and just say hello to everyone. Let me know if you guys can hear me before I get started. So sorry about that. Let me actually, okay, let me know if you guys can hear me before I get into this. As you can tell by the title of this, we're going to be talking about the Shetland Lie. First of all, let me just start this video off by saying I am really sorry that I have not been uploading for a long time. I'm also sorry that this is my second live stream in a row. Honestly, I've been really sick for like the last couple weeks. I don't have COVID. I have a lot of other health problems. So I just want to let people know that. But I did film a video on this and it was not, oh, I love you so much, Eric. Thank you. I did film a video on this and it was not what I wanted, and I was like, I'm not going to put this video out because it just I want to just, this is very in depth. This topic is very in depth. It's something that's going to take a little while to really go through and really dive into and talk about, because this is something that has been deep rooted in equestrian society and history for centuries. Okay, so this is something that a lot of people believe is true, and there's a lot of elements to this because there's so much gray area that's really not gray area that people like to believe is gray area, which is why there's so many people that still ride Shetland ponies. My last live stream, we talked about the weight effects to horses and sticking within the 20% rule or less, and how badly it really does affect a horse. So if you have not seen my previous live stream, that's kind of like a part one to this, because it speaks on proper riding, proper tack fit, and proper weight that should be applied to a horse's back, and the max amount of weight that should be applied to a horse's back, given that you have a horse that's of optimal health. So this is going to be exclusively about Shetland ponies, and it is going to include other types of ponies as well, even though this study that we're going to be going over in this live is on Shetland ponies. I want to let people know, if you do have issues hearing me, if you do have issues seeing me, or if you want to check out this study, I will link it below once I re-upload the final live. So let's go ahead and let's get into the Shetland Lie. Let me go ahead and share my screen with you guys. And this is going to be pretty in-depth and pretty long, so strap in, grab some candy or whatever. Oh, thank you, Coldest Water, for sponsoring this. Their link will be down below as well. Okay, let me go ahead and go and share my screen for you guys. So that way, let's see. And let me go ahead and put this in presentation mode. How do I do that? Let me go and, present. There we go. Okay, so the Shetland Lie, hopefully you guys can see this. I don't know if you can. Actually, let me double check. Yeah, you should be able to see this. So anyway, this is my presentation on the Shetland Lie. So in this, we are going to be going over how much weight can Shetland ponies carry. Now, why is this specifically about Shetland ponies? I'm going to explain that right now. For some reason, throughout history, people have believed a lie that Shetland ponies can carry more weight than normal horses, okay? Which is, you know what, I'm not going to get into my opinions yet because I have so many opinions on this, but honestly, I'm not here to make you feel better about yourself. I'm not here to make you feel fuzzy and warm inside. If you own a Shetland pony and you're trying to justify applying a lot of weight to them because they have a higher bone density or that they are stockier built or what the fuck ever. If you're trying to justify it in any sort of way, I'm not gonna try and make you feel better, okay? Because this is just as much animal abuse as any other type of overweight riding situation, which we went over in my last live stream. And if you want to know why riding a horse, if you weigh too much and you're applying too much weight, is damaging and abusive, you can go watch my last live stream, okay? So first, we need to establish what is the Shetland Lie. These are perfect examples. I cannot stress this enough. This is what you see, you guys. This is what you see all the time. You can literally type in on Google, how much weight can Shetland ponies carry? And this is what it comes up with. Now, mind you, none of this is scientifically backed up. None of this has any veterinary evidence to back any of these claims. There are no studies that say Shetland ponies can carry more weight. Shetland ponies don't have any sort of, special anatomy or build or gene, which is hilarious when I hear people say that like Shetland ponies have a specific gene that makes them carry more weight than normal horses. A gene only expresses a protein. It only controls the expression of a protein, which is why that argument is so funny because like genes, whatever, dude. Let's go ahead and read some of these examples. This is what you get when you type in on Google, how much weight can a Shetland pony carry? And I can't even tell you how frustrating it is to see shit like this that has no scientific backing at all. First one, Shetlands are well suited to carry more than average. Again, where did you get that from? Shetlands are noted for being the strongest horse pony for their weight of any breed. But Shetlands can range from 7 to 11 hands, blah, blah, goes into the way. But anyway, another one, 130 pounds. What a random ass number to just throw out there. Oh, every Shetland pony can carry 130 pounds. Okay. For its size, the Shetland is the strongest of all horse and pony breeds. Notice how similar these answers are. Like, first one, Shetlands are noted for being the strongest of horse and pony breeds. It says the same thing in the second one. It's almost as if these people are just like feeding off of each other and they don't actually have any adequate information to go off of. They're just parroting what each other are saying. It can pull twice its own weight under circumstances. Like, I'd love to know what those circumstances are, Again, another one on the bottom, when you measure them according to their size, they're among the very strongest horses. Like, there's no scientific backing for any of these claims. These are literally just pulled out of people's asses and parroted across the internet. And it's really like, it's really, really hard to see shit like this because there is no veterinary study that verifies any of this information. This is literally just people being like, oh, well, because at one point these horses carried a lot of weight, they're just very strong and they can do that. Like, you can put a very, very, very significant amount of weight on a normal horse, and I'm sure they'd be able to carry it. But that doesn't mean that they should. And I want to get that out of the way right off the bat. Just because they can doesn't mean they should. And it doesn't mean that it's good for them. So let's go and continue on. So mistruths and misinformation. We can pretty much just throw all the other stuff out the window by saying that it has no scientific backing. It's bullshit. People who say that, well, a horse is this tall, so therefore they can carry this much weight. That's not scientifically backed. The amount of weight that a horse can appropriately carry has to do with so many factors, i.e. their structure, their build, their health. It has to do with their weight almost exclusively. You go off of body weight to horse weight percentage, and that's how you determine how much they can carry in most cases if you have a horse that's in relative good health, okay? But I will say, what we're going to be talking about in this video is possibly the one claim that I see being thrown around a lot, where there's a lot of misinformation on this claim. And a lot of people are saying that Shetland ponies have a higher bone density than normal horses, and therefore they can carry more weight than normal horses. Okay, this is the only claim that's true. that's being thrown around inaccurately, because it is true, and we'll get into that, on Shetland ponies having higher bone density than normal horses. However, that has nothing to do with them being able to carry more weight of a rider than a normal horse. And that's what we're going to get into in this video, because this is a claim that I see being thrown around quite a lot. And a lot of people say this to me whenever I talk about Shetlands. They say they can carry more weight based off the density of their bones. And you know, we have some historical pictures down here of what Shetland ponies have been used for historically. They've always been used to carry a significant amount of weight or as farming animals. Even still to this day, they're used for cart pulling. A lot of children like to ride horses. And again, this is not me saying that people can't ride Shetlands. You know, I grew up riding Shetland ponies, but when I was 7 years old, I specifically remember my instructor being like, bitch, you weigh too much now. You got to get on a bigger horse, you know? So I'm not saying that you can't ride Shetland ponies at all, but I think it should be exclusive to small children. Especially not adults. You know, you see a lot of adults riding horses that are really, really small. So let's go ahead. Before we get into my opinions, we're going to talk about this study. Now, unlike my last live stream, I'm not going to go too in depth into this study like I did the other study I went over in my last live, because honestly, this study is pretty irrelevant, because this study only focuses on the bone density between thoroughbreds and ponies, but only in their carpus joint or their carpal bones. It doesn't explore the bone density in the bones throughout the rest of the horse, or even the weight bones in the horse. It only explores them in this one joint, which doesn't have much to do with weight bearing at all. It exclusively has to do with movement and flexion in a horse's leg, although it does bear some weight, but it's not the main weight bearing bones in a horse's leg. However, I want to go over this study because this is the one study that's been done legitimately that has determined that there are density differences between normal horses and ponies, okay? But there's reasons for this, and it has nothing to do with being able to bear more weight of a rider. So this is the study that was conducted. It was conducted by the Faculty of Veterinary Science at the University of Melbourne in Australia. And it's a bone density comparison of the carpal bones in thoroughbreds and ponies. So one thing I want you to keep in mind, again, in this study is that it assesses exclusively the differences in bone density between horses in the carpus joint, not the other bones. They literally exclusively do only these few carpal bones to determine density differences. Now, that's not to say that the rest of the bones in a miniature horse or pony's body are not more dense, because respective to this study, we're just going to assume, you know, for the sake of the arguments out there for applying more weight to Shetlands, we will assume, for the sake of everyone's argument, that Shetland ponies overall have a higher bone density throughout all their bones, even though it was only tested in the carpal bones. So we're just going to assume that they just, in general, overall have higher bone density. We don't know that for fact, but let's just assume that for the sake of this argument, okay? Again, this study will be linked down below if you want to read. It's pretty in-depth, and I just wanted to do the overall summary of the study for this presentation today. So, well, let's go over the carpal bones. Let me drink some water really quick. Okay, so the carpal bones, or the carpus joint, is this right here, also known, a lot of people like to call this the knee. You know, it's these collection of small bones right here that are entangled with different ligaments, et cetera, et cetera. Now, these basically displace in a horizontal plane the weight of the horse and the, not the full bearing weight of the horse, but they basically are the function, or the wrist function, I guess, of the horse's leg. So this allows these joints and these bones right here allow the flexion and movement in the horse's leg, and that's their main responsibility. Okay, people want to talk about weight bearing in a horse's leg. The main weight bearing bone, excuse me, one of the main weight-bearing bones is the cannon bone, which is right here. These two bones right here, these are the two main weight-bearing bones in a horse's leg. They did not determine the bone density of these bones. They only determined the bone density of the carpal joint. Okay, so, oh shit, sorry. Again, these are some definitions of the carpal bones if anybody would like to pause and read. I really don't want to go too much in depth. I only put the definitions up there because a lot of people like to go off this study and say that because the carpus joint has a higher bone density in this study than a normal horse, that they can bear more weight. And again, the carpus joint is not responsible for the main weight bearing of the horse. It's mostly only responsible for the motor function of the leg. Not to say that there's not increased bone density throughout the rest of the horse, but I'm just saying for the sake of this study that, you know, let's get anatomy right, please. Thanks. So the study findings, to not go too far in depth, I did put the summary up there on the screen for you guys. This is the legit summary from the study. If you want to read it, you can. Again, it's very, very, very in-depth. Some of the carpal bones were more dense in thoroughbreds. Some of them were more dense in ponies. But overall, the findings of the study found that the majority of the carpus joint was higher bone density in ponies than it was in horses. So again, for the sake of this study, let's say that ponies have a higher bone density than horses in general. We don't have legitimate scientific backing for this because we've not tested every bone in a pony's body compared to a normal horse. But we're just going to say for the sake of the argument that that's true. So the summary is that the density was relative to their size and weight. This is what it found in the carpus joint specifically. Ponies had a higher bone density relative to their heavy weight and small size, not relative to what they're able to carry on their back or pull. They had higher bone density because they were bred to be very, very, very short and heavy. So therefore their bones needed to be thicker to support their own heavy weight, if that makes sense. They weighed more for a smaller size. Just as a generalization. So here we have some body examples. If that didn't make sense, what I said. So you can see in the pony, you have this very, very heavy, long body, like very, very, this is a lot of weight right here for a really, really short animal. This is a lot of weight. It's very similar to if you see a bulldog or a dog that was bred to have really, really short legs and a long body. Those legs are going to be a lot thicker because they've got to support this massive body, which is why you have a higher bone density in these little tiny legs. It has nothing to do with being able to carry more weight. It has to be able to do with being able to support its own body weight adequately. You know, I mean, that's what blows me away about this is people want to say that they have higher bone density so that way they can carry more weight. It'd be completely different. Like, let's look at the thoroughbred. If thoroughbreds were really tall and lengthy, like what they are, and they had legs that were not long and lengthy, they had legs that were long and stocky, then you could make the argument that thoroughbreds could possibly be able to carry more weight, irrespective of, you know, let's take their thoracic vertebrae out of the equation because, right, like the rider sits mainly on the thoracic vertebrae and the two main muscles that go down the length of the back, which is where the weight of the rider is mostly distributed and mostly bared on the horse. The weight of the rider has very little to do with the legs when you're riding. It has to do with the back anatomy of the horse. But let's take the back anatomy out of it and pretend like that doesn't matter for a second. If thoroughbreds had very, very thick legs that were long, then you could make the argument that they might be able to carry more weight than a normal horse would. However, respective to their size, ponies need to have these really, really thick, dense legs because they need to be able to support this heavy body weight for the small size. You know, thoroughbreds have these really long, lengthy legs to support a, you know, lengthy and slimmed out body. So it makes sense relative to their size. It doesn't have anything to do with the actual weight-bearing aspects of the horse, if legs even played that much of a part in it. But let's go to the main weight-bearing area on horses, because this is another thing I want to talk about. You know, people say, oh, they have higher bone density in their legs, therefore they can carry more weight of a rider. It's like people forget that the majority of the weight is placed and distributed on a horse's back. And that's what causes the majority of problems. And that's where the majority of the pressure is placed. And that is where you really have to be careful about how much weight you're applying. You have to worry about the back exclusively, almost exclusively, okay, even though your horse should have good conformation throughout. So here we have Dr. Deb Bennett, equine anatomist, conformation analysis, and expert in biomechanics of the horse, notes that the primary requirement of riding a horse is to bear a rider's weight on the free span of his back without strain. And also it goes on to say certain conformational qualities can make this easier for the animal. So here we have an animal's conformation. This up here, this top yellow bar is what we consider to be the free span of the horse's back, okay? You know, you can see it on multiple horses. These are actually just quarter horses, but this is the overall conformation of a horse's back to give you guys a good example of what she's kind of talking about in that, which again goes back to the how much weight a horse can carry of a rider has more to do with their back anatomy than it does their legs, for all of the Shetland people out there making those stupid, ridiculous arguments. Let me take some water really quick. I'm like, this is like my least favorite topic to talk about because I feel like I have to talk about this all the time. So where the rider mainly affects the horse, irrespective of bone density, okay? So a horse, like I said previously, a horse has an average total of 18 thoracic vertebrae with 5 located in the withers. Each thoracic vertebrae is also associated with a rib, which helps support and distribute the overall weight of the rider. Okay, so most people will say that the horse, or excuse me, the rider needs to stick between, oh, what is it? I think it's like the 6th or the 7th. I don't really remember. Sorry, I know that sounds really unprepared. Like somewhere around here, if you guys can see my mouse, the rider needs to sit somewhere around here and no past the 17th or 18th thoracic vertebrae, okay? Because you have ribs that support the weight of the rider and the distribution of the rider. This is where the main pressure of the horse, or not the horse, the rider is focused on the horse's back. And these are the 2 main back muscles that support the rider, okay? So let's take bone density out of it because it really doesn't have anything to do with where the rider is sitting and the back damage that will be done to the horse. It has to do with the muscles, the back anatomy, and the structure, the overall anatomy of the horse as to how much weight the horse can carry. It doesn't have anything to do with bone density. So I'm sick of people saying that. So, you know, in conclusion, let's talk about some final findings of this study. So some final findings. These are just bullet points I made, opinions I have, not just opinions. I mean, guys, come on. So Shetland ponies have more dense bones to carry their small size and heavy weight, not to carry more weight on their back. They have more dense bones because they need to be able to support their own weight. Hopefully that makes sense to people. Shetland ponies have the same muscle structure, bone structure, and anatomy as normal horses, okay? I don't want to hear Shetland pony owners telling me that they're different in some fucking way or another, because that's not true. Again, another point, Shetland ponies have evolved to carry their small, stocky bodies, irrespective of an additional rider's weight. Let's make that clear. More dense bones does not equal being able to carry more rider weight on their backs than normal horses when they have to support more weight of themselves, you know? Shetland ponies fall under the 20% rule like all other horses. Thank you. My God, this is the most frustrating thing. So final thoughts, how much weight should and can a horse carry? Now, this is just a highlighted section of the study I went over in my last video. If you want to know how much weight a horse should carry, again, I'm going to point it out. This is the study that I went over in my last video. Go watch my last video if you want to know if you weigh too much, if you're too big, or how much your horse should appropriately carry. Because I really don't want to go over that study again. I think this was it. I think this was yeah. Okay, let's exit really quick. Let's, you know, take a breather. I'm back, everyone. Okay. Let me take a breather. That was a lot of information. How is everyone? I hope everyone's doing great. I was so sick for the last little while, which is again why I didn't make any videos. You know, it was shitty. I'm sorry I was gone. I hope you missed me. I missed you. Okay, so I want to go over, not to pick on this one particular person, although this person's an idiot, but I want to show this video as an example. Again, not to pick on this one particular person, but just because this is a prime example of what you see done to Shetland ponies, and a prime example of what you see being excused by riders who own Shetland ponies. So let me go ahead and show you guys this video, okay? Because this is, again, I don't want to pick on this rider specifically. I know in my last video, I talked about a bunch of different people who weighed too much to be riding horses. So it wasn't just me talking about one person specifically. Although I don't like this person, I don't want this to come across that I'm only picking on this one particular person, because this person is just a really good example of so many people who own Shetland ponies and how so many people treat Shetland ponies. So let me see if I can share my screen. Okay, so here we go. Hopefully you guys can see this. This is a perfect example. Let me turn the volume off because I don't want to hear it. This is a perfect example of a normal person who weighs way too much and is way too big, riding a Shetland pony and running them around in an arena. It's pretty short, which is why I wanted to show it. I don't want this to take up too much time. Again, just so big. Look at how big this person is. And they're like kicking the pony, pulling on its face, whipping it again right there at the end. You can see that tail swish. This pony's in pain. This pony is not having a good time. Okay, let's replay it. I'll let you guys watch that one more time. This is so sad. You know, you see a lot of people who say stuff like, well, my pony's not in pain, right? Like, my pony's not in pain. They're not showing signs of pain. They're not bucking me off, which, you know, we've talked about. There's so many videos out there of Shetland ponies bucking, kicking, rearing. People think it's cute or funny when they misbehave. That animal's in pain, and that's why they're behaving that way. You know, I talk a lot about, you know, behavioral analysis in my last video, which is again another reason why people should go watch it. But those horses are in pain, okay? This pony is also in pain, but this is also a good example of subtle signs of pain, just tail swishing or something. This pony's obviously not bucking or kicking, which is why this owner says stupid shit like what I'm about to show you on, oh, well, my pony's not in pain because he's not bucking or kicking or trying to get me off. First of all, even if the pony was, this guy would probably laugh and think it's cute or funny like every other Shetland pony owner and not understand that it's in pain. But also, you should not need, let me go, you know what, let me stop sharing the screen. Let me put myself back on screen. Hi. Just PSA, your horse should not have to literally buck you off, bite you, kick you, or have some egregious reaction for you as a responsible rider to know that your animal's in pain. You should be able to pick up on subtle signs, and you should also be able to understand your horse well enough to know if your horse is even just the littlest bit uncomfortable, okay? You also should know yourself well enough to know if you're putting too much weight or pressure on your animal. You should not need your horse to literally be bucking you off for you to understand that your animal's in pain, okay? This is a really funny conversation. This is the last thing I'm going to show, and then I'm going to do a little bit of a Q&A at the end. This is so funny. Let's go over this screenshot really quick. So in this guy's comment section, what I just showed you, props to this person. Can we just talk about this person? Bro, learn a thing or two. Horses shouldn't carry more than 20% of their body weight. I'm sure the pony appreciates the back pain. Like, can we just give this person a round of applause? Because honestly, bravo, you're amazing. You're my hero. You're incredible. The person who uploaded this video responded and just said the dumbest thing. I only weighed 400 pounds at the time, and she was a good 400. Like, as if this person doesn't know how to do math. Like, do you not understand that that's way more than 20% of the horse's body weight? It's just so funny. It's so funny. But this is the majority of Shetland owners, at least from what I've seen, who reach, and I'm not speaking on people who own Shetland ponies and don't ride them because they know it's wrong. I'm talking about people who own Shetland ponies and ride them. This is the majority of them, and these are the excuses they give, which is what I wanted to go over in this video. So, hello, I'm back, everyone. Okay. Let me go ahead and exit out of those videos I just showed you guys. And then I'm going to go back and do a Q&A. Let me drink some water, honestly. Okay. I'm back. Just drinking some water. Oh my God. Okay. I am open for some Q&As, or if people just want to have a fun discussion, here for it. How is everyone, honestly? I know that was long. I know that was intense. I just wanted to get this out of the way. Oh, God. I wanted to get this out of the way because happy Friday, everyone. I felt like I needed to speak on this so I could stop. This has been ridiculous. How has quarantine been? It's been great. Thank you. You know, really, I'm a really like outgoing person, but I also really love staying in my house. The only thing that sucks is I haven't been able to see Link for like the last couple weeks because I've been really sick and I've been just going and seeing my doctor left and right. Again, I don't have COVID. I just have a bunch of other health problems. And it's been like really scary because I haven't even been driving a car because I've been so dizzy and I'm just like pretty nervous. So, sorry, but I despise your dad. Same. I hate my dad. We all know that. Literally. Oh, God. How am I? I'm doing great. How are you guys? I hope everyone's doing okay. I know this live was a bit much. I'm sorry. I really needed to get it off my chest. Can you go over the signs that a horse may be in pain? That's a good one. Signs that a horse may be in pain. I did go over this a lot in my last video, but I might make an exclusive video talking about horse behavior for my next live stream. Oh, one other thing, guys, these live streams will improve in quality. I'm getting a really, really nice camera for live streaming. It just hasn't come in the mail yet. So I do want to apologize for that. But yeah, some behavioral signs that a horse would be in pain, just to go over pretty briefly, would be tail swishing, which is another sign of irritability. Tail swishing can also be a telltale sign of colic, and so can pawing at the ground. A lot of people think pawing at the ground is a really cute, adorable thing, but that could also be a sign of colic or bowel irritability. So I don't want to go too much in depth on that, but like, you know, bucking, head movements, shaking their head violently. You know, there's a lot of horses that will dip their backs. Oh my God. This is like making me burp. The Pellegrino is making me burp. A lot of horses will dip their backs if they have back pain. You'll see them try and like let their back sink to like get away from the pain. They won't, which, you know, sinking a back just looks like they're not collected. You know, their head's up high. They're not well framed at all. Okay, so, and there's way more signs. I would just say those are probably the most basic. Okay. Let's see. I'm trying to read these. Sorry for the silence, the awkward silence. I just want to go through and read some of these. One person's asking about sending me artwork. That will be in the description. I'll put my address in the description of the live once it's uploaded onto YouTube. It's also in the description of all my videos, and it's on my Instagram, which I'll put my Instagram down below as well. Let's see. How do I feel about driving Shetlands? That's a really good question. That does not bother me that much. Okay. You know, there's a big difference between being able to pull weight and being able to carry weight. This is actually a really good thing to end the live stream on, because, you know, people confuse this a lot. Being able to pull a lot of weight is vastly different because that weight is distributed pretty exclusively throughout the entire body of the animal. You know, that animal can use a lot of muscle and strength to be able to pull weight. And it's also easier for a horse to pull a full grown, like let's say I was driving a miniature horse, right? I weigh 120. And if I'm sitting in a cart that probably weighs like 50 pounds, right? So that's about 170 pounds. And let's say with everything, like the harness and everything on the pony, it's about 200 pounds. I don't think it would be that much, but let's just say that it would be. And then you have a pony that's like 400 to 500 pounds, right? That's about 50% of the horse's body weight. However, that's not being pressurized in one area on the horse. It's not exclusive to just a few vertebrae on the horse's back and just a couple muscles, right? That weight's being distributed throughout the entire horse. And not only that, but a 200-pound cart doesn't feel like you're pulling 200 pounds because it has wheels on it. So it's rolling and it's a lot easier to carry because it's a moving thing. So it's a lot lighter than what you think. I think there should be a study done on this, but I really don't think it's anywhere close to as damaging to have a miniature horse. Obviously, you can have them pull an excessive amount of weight, and that's not okay. But like, I don't think it's anywhere close to as damaging to have a miniature horse pulling weight in a cart that's moving and is mobile than it is to have them actually carrying all of that weight exclusively on their back, pressurized in one area. I think there's a very big difference between carrying and pulling. Let's see. I see a lot of people, you know what, actually for my next video, I might go over this. I might go over like cart driving and the differences in horses being able to pull weight versus actually carry weight. Because again, pulling weight is vastly different. It distributes pressure and weight completely differently on an animal or a person than it does actually, you know, centerizing all of that weight in one area, right? So like you're displacing it throughout your entire body, and it's actually a lot easier because there's wheels on it. You know, if I put, let me give this as an example. If I put, you know, there's human carts too, right? Like I go camping a lot, and there's these carts that people can buy where they can put a bunch of their camping gear in this cart and then they can carry it. You know, same thing, it has the 2 bars, you can carry it with your hands and it just drags behind you up into the mountains. I did that a couple times. And I want to use that as a good example, right? So you can have 100, 200 pounds in that cart, including the weight of the cart itself. But it's going to be much easier for you to pull that weight with wheels than it would be for you to put all of that weight that was in that cart on your back and actually carry it up the side of the mountain, if that makes sense. There's not any studies on this, but I might go in depth on this in a future video because it's a very interesting concept. But no, I don't have a problem with people carpooling. I don't have a problem with that. I mean, obviously it gets to an extent where you're forcing your horse to pull too much weight, but in general, I don't have a problem with that. Cool. I see a lot of people asking me if I've seen certain videos of horse and Shetland abuse. You know, guys, that shit's all over the internet. There's too many videos for me to react to, and I've already reacted to more than I would like to have ever reacted to on my channel throughout the history of my channel. And honestly, if you guys come across, let me just say this to end this live. If you guys come across anybody riding Shetland ponies when they're way too big for them anymore, or it's questionable, or you're in an argument with someone who's trying to justify it in some way, just send them the link to this video because I am going to upload this live on my channel. And you can just send them the link to this video because honestly, just like you guys, I'm equally as sick and fed up with people mistreating horses. So yeah. Anyway, guys, I love you so much. I'll see you guys in my next video, which will be a legit video. I'm sorry that I did 2 live streams in a row. I really like doing these lives. I can get a lot more information out in these live streams than I can in my normal videos. So anytime I ever want to go really in depth on a topic, I want to put together a presentation like this and like my last video and actually just do a live. I also like interacting with you guys as well. So the quality of these will improve in the future. But thank you guys so much. I love you more than words, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.